Welcome back to the Links Golf Club podcast, everyone. A conversation and today degenerate gambling show about a big golf event in Georgia that we're all very excited about this week and our wonderful club in the world of golf. I'm Gregory, joined as always by Cooper and Chris. Guys, Georgia on my mind. The whole day through, the whole week through, the whole year through. It's the best week of the year. How you feeling?
Feeling good. I've got pimento cheese dip in my refrigerator. Best week of the year. Can't beat it.
So excited. We're in the trough now between March Madness and start of the Masters, getting some of the Masters, preliminary events rolling out, practice rounds, things of that nature. Ready for the real thing though. Hype is building. But yeah, best week of the year. So excited.
Yeah, it just hits different. You get that Monday, you get everyone saying Happy Masters Week. You get the Masters parties. You get just the absolute rabbit holes of YouTube. You just want to watch every single piece of content you can. The app is live. It's great for all of us. This is certainly a holiday. So before we sort of dive into that focus, let's make sure we take some time. Let's update the people. Any plugs, announcements y'all want to talk about before we dive in?
Yeah, I mean, a lot going on in the world of links as always, but this week, the first signature events are opening up for registration. So as we're recording this, they just opened up for global members, and by the time you're listening to this, they'll probably be open to everyone for our first two events, which are at Olympia Fields, an awesome 36-hole day lined up there, and then at Bayonne in June. So if you're interested in either of those, make sure to jump on those quickly. Spots are filling up fast, as we can see here, but really excited about those events as well. We talked about those on a previous podcast, which you can check out in the feed below or above. But yeah, don't miss it if you're interested in those events, and then we'll be opening up the others later in the year coming up here.
The member census is also live, and if you're interested in hosting local events, meetups with other Links members, there's a question in that 2025 member census about that. So we've got our signature events, we have community events, and we've got a lot of things cooking for the future of Links. But the most important thing you can do, if you're a member watching this, is log into Clubhouse, take that survey. It only takes a few minutes, and it helps us guide, the future of this organization. Really comes down to your voice. So take a minute, maybe while you're sitting watching a practice round this week, and fill that out. We really appreciate it.
Do your DAO duty. Absolutely. Thanks, guys. Let's dive in. You can go a lot of places and get really measured, intelligent, informed, and research insight into picks for the Masters. But as a true intersection of crypto and golf degeneracy, we decided, in sort of the spirit of Links Coin launching a couple now almost months ago, we're going to dig in and we're going to just bare our souls to the internet and show you sort of how we think about this Masters and who we think is going to win. We're going to talk about a pool that one of our members set up that you can go in and actually join in Discord right now. It's going to be a very juicy prize pool. And then we're going to do a little bit of a draft and see if, we'll put our honor on the line and see if, one of us can win some money, or more likely, most of us will lose some money, which is, perfect timing based on the absolute meltdown of the global economy. So we're going to check in on Links. We'll spend a little bit of time there, but most of the time we're going to dedicate to the draft. So just to sort of set some context for those of you who don't know what Links is, Cooper, can you just give a brief primer of what Links Coin is?
Yeah, of course. So if you know us, you know that we're the Crypto Golf Club membership via NFT, which is really, really cool. Links Coin is the golf coin, right? So this is kind of the tradable, fun way to participate in the Links ecosystem. Whether you're a member or not a member, right? You can collect, trade this coin, and it's a fungible token, unlike our membership NFTs, which means it's infinitely divisible, right? So you can send 1/10 of a Links coin or 1,000,000 Links coin to a golfer, whether you lose a bet or three putt, or just want to invite somebody new on chain, somebody who likes golf. So really easy to participate. Pick it up if you have Coinbase wallet. It's on Base, which is a layer 2 of the Ethereum network, really low fees, really fast, and pretty easily available for anybody to get involved. So to learn a little bit more about that, you can go to linksdao.io/coin or hop in the Discord. If you pop in and say, hey, I'd like to get started with Links Coin, a member will probably throw you a couple hundred without thinking twice about it. So stop by, get involved if you're interested in kind of getting on chain with Links Coin. But the thing that we're really excited about are things like what Jared has built here in the community. People are creating ways to use Links Coin on and off the course together as a community online, participating in betting on events, in making memes, and doing all kinds of other things. So keep that up. We're really excited to see where this goes. And we're looking forward to supporting more community initiatives like this Parimutuel.
For sure. So let's dig into the Parimutuel. And is it Pari or Pari, or how do you pronounce it? I'm just gonna rather than sound like an idiot later and have to apologize, I'm just gonna say I don't know how to pronounce it.
Let's just barrel through. Just roll with it.
So let's talk about exactly what it is. So there's online you can bet, you can do DFS stuff, you can do obviously just like straight up money lines and stuff for who you think's going to win. There's a ton of parlay opportunities, but this is sort of a unique, as you mentioned, Cooper, way for us to, as a community, pick golfers to win. Can you walk us through the what this Parimutuel is, how it works, and then that'll be sort of the jumping off point for us to then talk about the picks that we're going to make for it that we'll actually put in later today.
Sure. So I'm a little bit newer to this, aside from horse racing, which I think is the main primitive that people might be most familiar with. So I've placed a couple of bets on the Kentucky Derby in the past, so this kind of makes a bit of sense. If you pick the winner, you get a proportional piece of the pot. Didn't mean to be alliterative there, but it kind of came out that way. So if each person, one person bets 5K links, another bets 3K, and one bets 2K, the person who bet 5,000 links, which let's say that's half of the total amount bet on Phil Mickelson, they'd get half of the pot, with the other two winners getting 30% and 20%. So if you're the only person who picks the winner, you win it all, which is really cool. So picking we can get into the strategy there in a little bit, but if you bet on Scotty, you can assume that a lot of other people are betting on Scotty. So the odds kind of and payouts kind of roll with the propensity of bets. There's also an option to pick the field, which includes every golfer that doesn't have a bet placed on them. So yeah, each ticket is a 1,000 links coin, and there's no limit on the amount that you can bet, just has to be in multiples of 1,000 links coin. So we have a form in the Discord. We'll direct you there for that. And you can participate and wager in links on the Masters. Did I miss anything there?
I think that makes sense to me. I'm new to this too. Never done one of these before. Definitely sounds like there's some strategy involved. Since we're competing against each other, I don't know how much we want to talk about that now, or we can talk about it after we make our picks. But yeah, this is a really fun thing. And again, shout out to Jared for putting this together. Doing the legwork on getting all of this stuff ready to go. And it's always fun to have stuff on the line when you're watching a sporting event, right? Like, it's not like we need to make the Masters any better, but having some horses in these races is going to make this week pretty fun, and a lot of shit talking in Discord, which is great too.
The only other thing I'd add is there is the concept of the field. So you can kind of place a field bet, right? It's like if at that point you're basically just betting on anyone who didn't get bet on otherwise. So we'll see how that plays out in our little set of picks here. I don't know if that'll play in, but kind of a unique aspect to a Parimutuel pool.
I think as of this morning, about 180,000 links is in the pot. So we'll see how that progresses over the next 24 hours as we get into the gameplay.
Yeah, we're about ready to inject some more liquidity into that for sure. So let's get to the draft. Let's get right into it. As I was sort of thinking through how to do this, obviously we could have all just picked the same players. Part of the strategy is sort of the game theory on thinking of, it's no different than like a long shot anywhere else, right? Like, you get more rewarded for picking someone who's less likely to win. That's pretty obvious. But in this case, I wanted to make it a little bit more interesting for this format. So we're going to do a snake draft. We have randomly selected the order. That random selection is going to go Chris, then me, then Cooper. And then as a conventional snake, it'll then go Cooper, me, Chris. We'll do this for 5 rounds because the Parimutuel form has 5 picks. I will set a rule that you can choose the field once, let's say. Each of us can if you choose to. Like, that's not an actual pick that you have to draft. You just have to elect to say, I'm picking the field for whichever one you want. Every player can only be picked once. So once that player has been picked for the sake of us in this format, that person is off the board and cannot be picked by somebody else. To kind of set some stakes here too, I saw in the form that there are sort of like selections that you make for how much you're betting. We're going to max that out for the purposes of this to like make the stakes as high as possible. So each of us is going to be in for 10,000 a pick, which makes 50,000 links total. And then yeah. So I guess any questions before we get started? Everything clear there? What we're doing?
How much links
So for our,
do you owe me right now, Greg?
The hard thing is that because you didn't tell me to pay out, I honestly don't remember because we also were doing a bunch of side bets in Kansas City, but it's a significant amount. I am indebted to you more than
Before I made my
would care
bets,
to
I just
admit.
wanted to figure out where we stood on that, just so I knew. But 50K, we can make that work.
and then so for our scoring amongst the 3 of us, are we kind of treating our picks as their own pool, or are we going to take whatever happens in the bigger pool and kind of divide it accordingly? How are we going to do that for our like little competition here?
Great question. I think we can definitely follow up next week on which one of us won as our sort of sub bet. I'm happy to put maybe even more on the line if we want to inject it into the prize pool in general, I think is fine. Or we could, come up with some other fun bet, whether it be like the 2 losers have to do something, embarrassing, I think maybe would be good. So I don't know if you have ideas now. Otherwise, my thinking was we're just going to put it in the pot. And if we win, we win. And then it'll be really easy to track which one of us came out on top. But what other thoughts do you have? Well, how else can we make it interesting?
No, that's perfect. That's perfect. Mostly thinking about for my strategy here coming up because I've got pick number 1. So, very important for me to lay out the right path here.
Yeah, no, the outcome of this is definitely we're participating in the broader Parimutuel. So this isn't like a separate one. So whatever picks we're making today are the ones that you're going to go into the form and you're going to enter those in, and those are the ones that you have on the line with the community.
Cool. Sounds good.
Cool.
All right, so Chris, you're on the clock. Who's your first pick and why?
All right. So the reason I asked that question is because I think my basic strategy is think of who I think has the best odds relative to how often they'll be picked, right? Like, be easy to say Scotty Scheffler, but I think a lot of people are going to pick Scotty, so that it wouldn't be as rewarded or whatever. So, given we're plugging into the bigger pool where there will be many more picks and lots of other folks participating, I'm going to make my first pick a little more of an underdog and say Russell Henley. Maybe an unexpected pick, but he's played really well recently. He always plays well at Augusta. I think he flies under the radar for many, so hopefully will not get picked as often. Maybe I'm torpedoing my chances here by just saying it up front and everyone will see it on the podcast. But that's my pick number 1. I like that one.
I think he will be picked by a lot of people because, again, remember, no one else is like drafting this, right? So if you're doing a fantasy football draft and you picked, I don't know who that is, DJ Metcalf in the first round, then people are going to make fun of you. But like, I think it's now that I know what your strategy is, I think it makes sense and I have a similar one. But like just a little more color. I saw a tweet by Ron Close this morning. 13 of the last 13 winners of the Masters have gained at least 18 total strokes tee to green, and there are 4 tournaments before the Masters win. Russell Henley is one of those. So he absolutely is in the chase. I think he was plus 6,000 last time I looked at the betting odds, which I'm sure you're looking at too. And, I think his game sets up well here. So that is interesting. And it makes my pick interesting because I was originally going to do something similar, but now that Scotty's still on the board, do I want to just kind of like hedge my bets here a little bit? He hasn't been playing super well necessarily recently, especially on like the metrics that really matter at Augusta. but he's still Scotty Scheffler. He's plus 450 right now. I'm assuming he's going to get by far the most action in the pool. But is there anyone else that I really want to pick over him just to make sure I have him? I'm going to do Scotty just because I didn't expect him to be there, and I'd rather have the highest betting favorite on my team. So I'm going to go Scotty. He's also in that, same conversation with Henley we just talked about, which is a good indicator. And he's obviously won twice. He's plus 450. Data Golf has his win probability at 11.7%. He's the best ball striker in the world. Great around the greens. Augusta's obviously really hard at that. And I think he has a good handle on the putting. So I'm going to go Scheffler only just because I'm surprised that I got him at value at number 2. But that might come back to bite me when I only win 10 cents splitting it with everyone else. So Cooper, what's your first round pick?
Interesting to see the way that cookie crumbled between the two of you. I will probably, despite the fact that the payout won't be big, go for just the pure honor of victory and pick Rory to do it this year. Didn't expect him to be up on the board. Thought it would go Scotty, Rory, 1-2. Interested in Chris's strategy here. I think that's a cool play. But since he's up here, gonna bet on the Irishman to do it.
Yeah, he would have been my first pick only because I'm so past the trough of disillusionment. There's the funny tweet that came out this week that's 6 months ago, I will not let Rory trick me into betting on him in the Masters. And then 3 months, I will not let, and then just hard buy on Rory.
Yep.
He's either going to make you look really smart or really stupid, but he's playing incredible golf right now. And I was listening to the Fairway Rolling podcast yesterday, and they were talking about how what they like to see is that the tournaments he's won this year, he's won sort of differently, right? He hasn't had everything going for him. He's had adversity, and he's lost pretty much every major in every way possible. And to see him sort of fight through and grit through is probably good. But I want him. He's the person that I want to win the most. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, it would be fun to see him win for sure.
Yeah,
that would be awesome.
Come on, Rory lad.
Some great form, and since it's a snake, I get 2 in a row, right?
You do. Yep, you're up next. This is your second pick.
Fantastic. All right, this one comes down. It's close between 2 players, a little bit more on the sleeper side to hedge my bets here. I think I'm gonna go just because I personally think he's much more likable than the other pick, Victor Hovland, for my next pick. So I would love to see Victor. If you're in the Links Discord, we use stickers of his face all the time. We even ChatGPT giblified his face for one of our stickers. So hope to see him pull it out this year. He's been, battling in pretty good form leading up to this. So again, short game, consistency, accuracy, all pretty good factors to bring into Augusta.
Yeah, he is hard not to like just as a person, for sure. But I mean, his game was over the past year, it's been all over the place. But then recently he's kind of snapped back, it seems like. So good time to be doing it on his part.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to go with Corey Connors, similar, just because I went high pick first, second. I mean, I think the hard thing about some of these sleepers is if you're actually paying attention, Corey Connors, Russell Henley are going to be the people that people are going to pick. So I'm sure if you're making 5 picks, this is going to be as equally distributed. But since I got sort of the baseline of Scotty, I'm going to go Corey Connors just to get an underdog out of the way. He's plus 5,500 right now, at least, again, the lines that I last saw. He was T6 in 24, T8 in 22, I think. And then, he's been playing well recently. He was T18 in the Valero, T8 in Valspar. He's gaining a full, 1.05 strokes on approach, which is super important. He putted pretty poorly last week, but kind of everyone did. So I just don't know how much stake to put in Valero. But I like where his game is at right now. And it's nice to have an international team. You have the country of Texas and the country of Canada both representing on my team here. So I feel pretty good about that. Chris, you have the last pick of round 2.
Yeah, so this one I'm going to go a little more popular, I guess, or bigger name, but I'm going to pick Xander in this spot. Kind of the logic here being, I think he's strangely undervalued currently. Or like if you look at the betting odds, he's like 22-1. I think he's he's on people's mind less now than I think he should be. I mean, he's had the wrist injury and everything, which is definitely a risk going into this. But I mean, won 2 majors last year. He's, one of the top 3 players in the world. And it seems like seeing him down the board at like 7th or 8th best odds, if that's a proxy for how people are gonna put put their bets into the pool. I like those odds. So he's my second rounder.
You mentioned the injury. That's the only question. I mean, the year that he had last year was great. Is how he's playing right now because he's hurt or not? How will it hold up? There's always like the absolute disaster would be like what happened with Rahm, like just like getting out of the PGA last year. Like, I don't know what happens in that situation. I assume he's just off your board, but I think it's a good pick. I think probably a lot of people will be scared of picking him. So you're definitely in like an Oakland A's Billy Bean 2000s Moneyball situation here. I like it.
I mean, the funny thing is, so I mean, he's played some tournaments recently, but the thing that strangely gives me confidence is he's been playing the TGL matches, and you actually get to see him like interact and like, how's he feeling? What's his mindset? And when I saw him the past couple times he played on TGL, which is like post injury, like when people are still asking about it, seems perfectly fine. Doesn't mention it at all. Very, kind of positive vibes, making good swings, kind of, not even talking about it. So that gives me a strange feeling of reassurance that he's going to be fine in that regard. But we'll see.
We'll see. It's only one way to find out. Who's your? You get another pick, the snake draft. So who you got next?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Brooks Koepka for this one. Kind of similarly, like feels like he's flying under the radar relative to his level of competition and just pedigree. Obviously he's won 5 majors now. Is always competitive. He seems to play pretty well at Augusta typically. And I think I don't really follow Live day to day, but I think he's had like a solid year on Live, and obviously he shows up to the majors. That's what he's known for. So like again, seeing him at 30-1 odds feels pretty good. Always a little tough to tell like how what form he's in or whatnot. Just trying to go off Live results or everything else. But I think that price for him in general at a major is, hard to feel too bad about that one.
I like it. 2 of my top 3 on my big board I got one of them. I didn't think I was going to get the other one. Cooper got, and then another one's available. So I'm just going to go with Morikawa now, and then I'll bargain shop for the rest of these. But again, I've never done one of these before, so we'll see. I think like we've already started to see what Chris's strategy is. I think it's really smart. Obviously, Morikawa is one of the highest betting favorites. He's a plus 1,600 right now. But Data Golf has him as the 3rd best golfer in the world right now. I think Data Golf had him as number 4 as far as odds. If you don't know what Data Golf is, it's great. You should use Data Golf all the time, but they actually calculate sort of their own odds of who they think will win based on a model that includes things like course fit and recency and previous success, everything else. And so I believe in it a lot. And so I'd like to have both Morikawa and Scheffler on the team, because if they win, it's more than nothing, right? Like that's the thing. I don't know how this is going to play out. Is it's a huge reward if someone like Xander hits, which I don't think very many people will bet, or Russell Henley. But if you pick a bunch of randos and you don't win anything, I guess it's worse than getting a fraction of something. So I'm going to take 2 of my top guys off the board, and then Cooper, you have 2 picks now.
Cool. Well, you just picked one of them. So I'm gonna have to pivot here a little bit. Yeah, Morikawa looks like a good pick here. Love to see him pull it off. I am going to go John Rahm. Would love to see flip back and forth, just Scotty Rahm forever. It's just be the new trend. Alternating Masters for the two of them. So I'll do John Rahm and then I'll do Tommy Fleetwood as my other Moneyball pick. Just good short game, accurate, some experience. I think he's due for one.
Yeah, I was going back and forth on Tommy because always plays well at Augusta. Finished what he finished last year, T3 last year, but then I was shooting in the 80s last week. It's like, what do I care more about, past history or recent form? But I guess we'll see how that plays out for you.
Yeah, maybe he just learned something. We'll see.
He's just working on a swing
That's
feel.
right.
Yeah.
Wrist angles.
Speaking of, you never know what you're going to get. This is purely a heart pick. So I kind of, for the love of the content, I wanted to make some smart picks and I wanted to make some heart picks. And my heart pick is going to be Spieth because I stand for Jordan Spieth. It's going to be an absolute just disaster. It's going to be like terraforming an island that only has penguins that live on it. But meaning it's not going to make any sense. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, he's playing good golf right now. Data Golf has him as a 1.4% likelihood to win. He's plus 3,000 on the betting markets, at least again when I found these lines. He's won 2 Masters, and he's my dude. So I'm not even going to really rationalize it further than just besides Rory, he's the single person that I would want to win most. So I'm going Spieth.
Yeah, hard to argue with the hard pick. I mean, yeah, another one would love to see. I don't know if I'm necessarily betting on it, but would be awesome if he just roared back and took one. And this is definitely the place to do it if he was going to do it. All right, so who am I going with next? Start to get kind of tough. I think I'm going to go with Bryson. It's like this is not a good course fit for Bryson, or I think in general. It's like kind of put your emphasis on short game and that type of thing, which is not his forte. Although it's kind of a big ballpark, and you can not be super accurate driving and get away with some stuff. But yeah, I mean, he finished T6 last year. Obviously, was basically in contention at every major except maybe the Open. And it's just been playing really well. He's definitely one of the top players. And again, maybe a little under the radar, just given he hasn't been in any PGA tournaments that have been on TV, and hasn't kind of been contending recently. I guess he's on YouTube all the time. Maybe that's a bad argument, but I'll roll with him. I like him busting through one of these years. And then let's see, rolling into the next one, who am I gonna go with? I think I'm gonna reach down a little further, try and go the flyer pick that's undervalued. I'm gonna go with Shane Lowry. He's very different than a Bryson pick, but kind of, maybe this is oversimplification, but in like the Tommy vein, he's like kind of a shot maker. Can I think this course, generally kind of fits him well. The ability to work ball, ability to, good iron player, good short game player. So yeah, and you got to stretch a little bit here once you get a little further down the pick board. So I feel good about that one.
I like it a lot. He would have certainly been. He was on my radar for sure. My last pick, I'm gonna pick Joaquin Niemann just because I feel like I need someone on live. And I feel like he's played incredible golf. I think a lot of people said, and I agree with this, is that he's one of the people that I wish was on the PGA Tour probably the most still, even more than Bryson, because I think that part of what's made Bryson enjoyable again has been him having to sort of leave, start his own YouTube situation, and then be able to come back to the majors. But I think he's a really good course fit. I mean, he's long off the tee, he's accurate, gains a lot of strokes on approach, So just the hard with the live guys and evaluating them is you just don't really know what the court. I mean, they played Blue Monster last year or last week. Couldn't be any more different than Augusta. They all got beat up on it, so it's kind of hard to say. The competition is what it is, but I feel like I should have one live guy on the team. I think if there was anyone in that group that I was going to pick besides Bryson, it would be him. Plus 3,500 right now, and he has 2.5% on Data Golf's likelihood to win. And I feel like enough people don't like him because, especially with what like Phil has said recently, that hopefully people will avoid picking him for that reason. So I'll go with Neva, my last pick. Cooper, round us out here.
I like that. I like that pick. He's on my radar too. Is Neil Shipley in the field this year? Is he coming back? No, that would be. I was watching the Full Swing episode, and that was just so great. That story from last year. I think I'm gonna have to go with a hard pick here. Slash like the Nordic golf robot. Ludvig Åberg is gonna be my pick. I'm shocked that he made it this far in the snake, being as close in contention on Sunday as he was last year. That one water shot on 11, that was just a gasping heartbreaker for Scotty to pull away with it. He's young, but I think he definitely learned some lessons from that last year, and watching him on TGL has been really fun. So I'm going to be rooting for him.
Okay.
Yeah, I was getting ready to make the note that we somehow went through the whole pick board without picking Ludwig. So good job picking him last. We don't have to do that now.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, it's hard to argue with the talent, right? I think there's just like, it's a lot of concerns. But if there's anyone who could just come out in a weekend and just absolutely dominate besides probably Scotty, it's probably Ludwig. But my big thing with all the European players is I want them to succeed as much as possible now so that they all fail miserably at Bethpage. So, my models are a little biased there, but I like
you just want them riding high so they get slammed back down. Huh?
Yeah, because I think Europe's going to win. So let's go through the teams here. Chris, you have Russell Henley, Xander Schauffele, Brooks Koepka, Bryson DeChambeau, and Shane Lowry. I went with Scotty Scheffler, Corey Connors, Colin Morikawa, Jordan Spieth, and Joaquin Niemann. And then Cooper, you got Rory, Victor Hovland, Jon Rahm, Tommy Fleetwood, and Ludvig Åberg. A lot of good golfers in this list. Let's talk about kind of what's emerged. So I have two questions. One is sort of the strategies we talked a little bit about, but let's talk about sort of the composition of the teams. And then I want each of you to go around and say which team you like the most. It can be your team or it can be someone else's team.
Yeah, it's I feel pretty good about my team. It is tricky. It's like you want to pick undervalued players, but then if you go too far down the board, then your chances of hitting a winner are very small. So that's that's obviously the trade-off. That we're going to do this in a group of a bunch of other people placing bets and kind of in that context. But I don't know. Is it bad to pick my own team? I feel good about it. This is the classic, like every year after my fantasy baseball draft, feel great about the team and then just completely suck every year. So this is that moment for me. I'm just going to go with my own team. Feeling good.
I'm going to go with your team too. I think I like your team. So that's 2 votes for that. Yeah, I mean, I never having done this before and never really having talked to anyone who has, I just don't really know how it's going to play out. Like my idea was, I'm going to go with the odds-on favorite, at least to have them on my team, so that even if everybody bets, at least I get something back. And then I'm going to try to hit some home runs. I was a lot more conservative than you. Like, I think Corey Connors and Russell Henley are probably pretty similar. But having Morikawa on there too is a little top-heavy. Joaquin Niemann, my hope again is that there's enough hatred for Liv that he goes under the radar, but we'll see. I think he's probably, but another like high betting favorite on that list. So, Cooper, your team is the one I'm probably rooting for the most. Like, I would love to see Rory, Hovland, or Åberg win. I almost, Tommy Fleetwood wandered around the darkness enough that I would also like to see him win, and I love Jon Rahm. So I think if I'm like rooting for a team to win, it's Cooper, but I think Chris's team will win.
Yeah, I would say I took a vibes-based approach, but looks like you
Mhm.
two did a little bit more data and research. So I would probably
Hey, vibes are
the
good.
vibes
Vibes are good.
vibes are good. Vibes count for something for sure. I mean, yeah, just looking at the teams, I think I'm actually just to go against the grain, but go with Greg's team. Scotty Morikawa, I mean, I think that's the pretty good numbers there. But
There's definitely a decent chance that, Scotty just wins, and at the end of the week, we're all like, "Oh, yeah, of course."
yeah,
Mhm.
Like, why didn't we all
Yeah.
see that coming?
Well, that's the other thing about the way that we did it that no one else will have to, is that each of us only got to pick, like only one of us got the player. So if Scotty wins, then none of y'all get any money and I win this, right? So that was sort of, we're playing the game within the game right now. It's like Michael Douglas, but yeah, I think all good picks, all well reasoned. So all of us are going to go in and we're going to fill out our form, right? So you're going to max bet 10,000 links points for every one of your picks. It's also interesting that no one picked the field. I don't know if we all forgot about it or we just chose not to, but no one picked the field. But go in there.
I was thinking about it,
Mhm.
but like if it was just the three of us doing
Mhm.
it, that would make a ton of sense.
Sure.
But I have a feeling that we're just going to get a lot of picks. So it's that who you're actually picking when you pick the field is going to be a much smaller group of people
Yeah.
when you do it in the real pool versus the three of us.
Yeah, I feel like I was waiting for Cooper to do it at the end, just like we kind of all lull ourselves into a false sense of security, and then he's just like, yeah, I'm taking the field.
so I couldn't have gotten
Gr-
Oberg and everybody else against the three of us.
That's true. That's true.
Darn.
So yeah, we'll see. But, obviously super exciting week. And thanks again to Jared for putting this all together. Excited to see how it shakes out. If you're a member and you haven't joined it yet, just make sure you do that by, I'd say Wednesday night. I know the cutoff is Thursday morning, but just you might forget. And the second that tees off, it's closed. And so again, if you have any questions, hop in Discord, ask. Really excited. I'm sure we'll have some live streaming up, Cooper, right?
Yep.
We'll be watching some Masters together. We're in the thick of it, and we're very excited. So anything else kind of on the pari before we wrap up here?
Yeah.
From y'all?
So this morning the total pot was about 180. We're
Mm-hmm.
chipping in 50 each, 50K each on this. Chris, any thoughts about, throwing in some links from the org, from a little bit of discretionary links to sweeten the pot here for everybody in case, we do want to end up picking Scotty.
Let's do it. I feel like we should. What's the right amount? $1 million?
Do $1 million. We'll throw,
It's hard to figure out the basis.
yeah. How about an extra $1 million links coin into the party? We'll talk to Jared. We'll get that set up. So let's
Let's do
It's a
it.
pretty nice multiplier. If the pot stays where it is, basically doubles anything that you put in. If not, 3 or 4x. So
Free money.
yeah.
Free money in this economy.
Free
It's
links,
great.
baby. Golf coin for everybody. So excited about that. Drop a comment. Subscribe on YouTube. Subscribe on Apple. Subscribe on Spotify. If you're watching on YouTube, share this, and we'd love to hear from you about the next episode or your betting strategies as well in the Discord or in the comments.
Yeah, the
Absolutely.
other thing we should mention is, I've seen a couple other people mention some other side projects, either, betting or not betting related, or, fantasy sports or not fantasy sports related to links. So love to see that. I think we're always, looking out for interesting things that folks are doing. And if you have any ideas like that, throw them out in the Discord, or, just keep cranking on them and throw them out and let folks give you some feedback. Let them test and push and pull on it. It's really cool to see these things kind of bubble up from various folks. And this is just one example of it, right? The whole Parimutuel pool that Jared put together, but I'm sure there's a ton of other ideas floating out there as well. So, if you got one of those ideas percolating, toss it out, give it a shot. And we'd love to hear what people are thinking about.
Absolutely. Well, Chris, Cooper, thanks for taking the time, putting your links and your reputations on the line. You'll certainly be any one of us who performs the worst will be mocked relentlessly by both each other, the internet, your ancestors, just anyone who really can get a beat on that. But everyone else, thanks for tuning in. And again, like Cooper said, give us a subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Really helps us out. If you have ideas for future episodes, let us know in Discord, let us know in the comments. And we look forward to everything that's going to happen this week for the Masters, and look forward to talking to y'all next week. Appreciate you tuning in.
Happy Masters Week, everybody.
All right. See you in the chats.
See y'all.